So I had an experience a while back that I thought was nonsensical or too distorted to talk about, but I started making connections with people who do controlled remote viewing. So I decided that I should talk about this. So I went to what I thought was the moon, and in the moon, or on the moon, there was a giant crater, and I went to this giant crater, and around the bottom parts of the rim of the crater were these pulsating giant powerful blue lights, and at the bottom of the crater near the floor were these holes that you go down. I could only see three. I didn't take too much more time investigating the surface. When I woke up, I thought that this was distorted because these lights would be visible on the moon. We could see them in even these holes here that are seemingly made by a life form, not by natural occurrence. We would see that if it was on the moon. So I was like, this is definitely not real. But apparently I was on Mars, or it'd make more sense if I was on Mars. These pulsating lights, I thought, how could they still be pulsating, and how can I see them? They would be covered up very soon, like within a couple, well, I don't know how many years, but they really shouldn't be visible like this. You'd think that they would just be full of sand and, they're not working anymore. But from watching one of the videos on controlled remote viewing on Mars, there is an indication that the civilization that built these catacombs, or these holes down here, they were recovered by a more advanced civilization. And I suspect this advanced civilization is the ones that recently put these lights here that just don't seem to power down, and they're really, really bright, abnormally bright. To summarize this, I felt like these holes lead into a catacomb and lead to technology that was created by a civilization slightly more advanced than what we are now. And these lights here in this crater was excavated and created by a much more advanced civilization than both of us. And they went to these catacombs, or built these, or drilled down into this catacomb, and they recovered whatever they need to do, or try to save the civilization. Anyways, I went into this catacomb. We just went down one of the holes. There's a big cavity. Every time I went down further, there was an increasingly smaller cavity. And at the very bottom of, or as far down as I could get, I found these giant eggs. And I thought that they were stasis pods for something similar to humans, or it was at least holding their DNA. But I could not find actual, like, active life forms. It just seemed like they were in stasis. They weren't really alive. It's kind of like when somebody's in a coma and they just completely left their body and they're not coming back. It kind of felt like that with a lot of the things in stasis. That's why I couldn't observe them. Usually when you come across life forms that are just kept alive, like the physical aspect is kept alive, but everything else is seemingly dead, they don't have an entity attached to them, they're very hard to really inspect. They just seem like normal physical matter. You're not really attracted to them. So I just saw these stasis pods. I felt like there was a civilization in there, or what was the last of the civilization in these pods, and they were not so much more different from us humans. They were bipedal. They were not that much more advanced than us, and they all seemed like they were just dead, or they were dying. It is possible that some of these beings that are in stasis are able to get back to their physical body and just observe their dreams or whatever, or they're staying out of their body and observing us because we are the closest life forms to them. That would explain a lot of the experiences that I had where extraterrestrials just seem to be observing me. They don't really have any plans to do anything because they cannot do anything in the physical world until they either die and come back, or are able to leave their stasis pods, which they probably can't because the atmosphere is gone on their planet, on Mars, or it's too thin at least. I believe that this catacomb and the technology put down here was put down here before their atmosphere became too thin, or died from something, sporadically, like an asteroid or comet or whatever you call it. But this explains a lot of behavior about random extraterrestrials that are out of their physical bodies observing us, or they want us to go somewhere and help them out or observe something that they're experiencing. So I'm going to link you to the 2 videos that I made connections with. The links will be in the description, and I suggest looking into controlled remote viewing. It's really interesting. It's like something governments actually use. It's all about remote viewing in a way that it's as accurate as possible, and it can be militarized and used in professional organizations. And that's it for this video. Thanks for listening. See you later.